it's one of the most phenomenal success stories. I think that would be fair to say. DayZ, Dean, would you think that's correct?
Well, I guess it's kind of looking like it might be there. Yeah, it's definitely sort of a meteoric rise to this point.
We ended up actually for most of yesterday sharing DayZ stories. I heard so many random accounts and seeing apparently the YouTube things has picked up where people are stitching together various narratives.
Yeah, I love, I think it was called Robot Zombie, which was like a Robot Chicken style amalgamation of DayZ videos, and it was just hilarious. Like, I was in tears by the time I was finished. It was that funny.
Well, how do you feel doing, I mean, let's actually just go right back to the beginning, you putting this together. What was the idea behind it? How long did it really take you?
Well, I really wanted to have a, like a game where I wasn't having the story forced down my throat. Like, I really struggle to play a lot of normal games. I think I'm a bit weird in that, when I'm in a game, I really want my creativity to flow. Like, it even kind of annoyed me a bit in Grand Theft Auto, how I kind of had to follow the path. Like, even though the story was awesome, it kind of sort of annoyed me a bit. Like, why am I going, I have to go off and do this thing, I really want to go do this. And so that was kind of where it came from. I was like, okay, I want to make a mod that's, zombie apocalypse where I can try and see if I can survive. And, that's really hard to see if I can balance and make all the required decisions for that to happen. So that was kind of really the genesis of it, I guess.
And what has resulted is people's dark sides coming out because it's like not so much the zombies, but everyone else in populating this world.
Yeah, well, I guess, I'm a real cooperative player. I'm maybe quite a Care Bear, so that was what I wanted to play, that style. Like, I remember back when I was at uni, I used to play a lot of Alien vs Predator, like the original edition, not the latest one. And, I used to end up playing that cooperative mode a lot, and you'd end up playing with, like, random people you'd never met on the internet, and you'd be, like, hours in the cooperative mode just, like, trying to kill wave and wave of xenomorph as they come at you, and I really enjoyed that. Like, there was just something quite cool about it. So what I felt like was that as a cooperative player, I needed the PvP-focused players to be a challenge for me. So I think that's what DayZ is. Like, I think in order for it to be exciting and compelling for those who want to do cooperative play, you need that really harsh, terrible side of humanity as well.
And it's certainly been a huge success in sales. I mean, Arma II is just repeatedly just being pushed up the sales charts over and over again. And it is because of DayZ. I mean, how does that feel?
Yeah, well, I guess that's pretty cool. Like, you don't have a lot of time to really think about it. Like, it has really been, like I was saying before, I've basically been in crunch mode since about April. Working weekends just all the time. If I'm not developing on it, then I'm, trying to negotiate something. And if I'm not doing that, then I'm doing interviews. So you just don't really have a lot of time to reflect on it. And, I like that saying, what does it make hay while the sun shines, So we're making sort of the most of that now. And I'm sure there'll be time later on when I sit down and go, what the hell just happened?
How many people are in the team?
Well, in terms of the DayZ mod, it's kind of a massive army of volunteers who manage everything from servers to, we have really awesome guys working on the website. We have a guy, Michael Manning, who did the sounds, and I don't want to name people because I'll miss out all the people, but
it's like a community, almost a community service thing.
Community thing, and we're going to open up the mod a lot more to allow people to run the servers in the way they want and develop it and stuff like that. The game's a bit different, so the idea is to develop it very much under a Minecraft type style. So there's about 6 people on the core team at the moment, 3 of them programmers, probably the most senior programmers in BIS, and so that's the approach we're taking with that, a very small core team. Beyond that, we then have a lot of art and stuff like that will be kind of done, they use that term insourcing, so kind of outsourcing internally, so that we're not cluttering up the core aspect of the project and they can keep very focused.
Okay, now with DayZ going as becoming a standalone title, obviously there'll probably be an element of extra polish that perhaps you couldn't have done with the original style. But do you feel like almost that loses the sort of character of what DayZ is about?
Yeah, well, that is a definite danger. There's almost a humour that is developed around some of the bugs and that. Like, I saw a really funny YouTube video of the graphical glitches set to dubstep, and I couldn't help but laugh as much as it pains me because the graphical glitches just drive me completely crazy. But I had to laugh because it was kind of funny. So there is sort of something about that. But I think we need to tidy it up. Like, it's totally at the point now where people are just getting sick of a lot of the problems. I'm sick of the problems, so we have to fix those. And then I think after we've tidied them up, like zombies are a good example, after we've tidied up the way zombies work, we're probably going to have to do some other stuff to add the difficulty back and the challenge back. And I think that's that's not going to be a bad problem to have. That's much better than having the bugs. So
I was going to say, do you feel like it would change the tone of the game at all?
I think so, but I think if anything, it will become harder and more hardcore. So I think that's probably a good thing.
Oh, sort of like with that sort of reflection on it, as it's ongoing, is there things that you're thinking about that I want to see this and I want to change this? Not necessarily about bugs, but just things, just generally maybe with the mechanics in the game world.
Yeah, well, the inventory system's gone, so we're going to completely revise that from scratch, because inventory is so key to to DayZ. Like, it's the leveling system. The gear you have is your character. So we need to make that a lot more accessible. There's a lot of things I kind of like about the system, like it's very visceral at the moment, so we want to maintain that, the real sense that when you open up and have a look at your gear, you see all the stuff you have and you get a feeling for it. So we want to maintain that, but come up with a much easier to use and sensible interaction system.
And you're certainly listening to community feedback, yes?
Yeah. Well, like, we can't listen to everything, and we try and listen, to as much as we can. But, we can't listen to absolutely everything. But certainly, like, that community engagement is crucial, like totally crucial. If we don't maintain that, then I think that would be one of the most serious aspects to happen to the project if we lost that community interaction and focus.
What's sort of next for you? I mean, like we said, you're working weekends. Are you getting a break at any point?
I'm going to take a break next year, so probably April, May. I'm actually going to go off and climb Everest. So I've always wanted to do that. So yeah, so I'm going to do that, and that will be kind of my break, and then we'll see after that.
And how do you feel about just with almost like a grassroots movement, for want of a better term, for DayZ? Certainly when we're looking at AAA titles that got Hollywood, style production values and longer development cycles, and then you got this all the way down the other end of the scale. You feel that there's something, an attraction here that really speaks to gamers?
I think so. Well, you look at the origins of DayZ and even look at what DayZ is. It's a not that great, like not really technically polished mod for a game that has, some issues and bugs and stuff with it. So it's kind of got the most unlikely of origin. It's a niche game, military simulator. So that's why everybody just looks at it and kind of scratches their head. And but it had its birth. There were a lot of YouTube videos done by a guy called C.H. Kilroy early on that people looked at and were like, wow, that's kind of like The Walking Dead, I want to play that. And then 4chan, the most unlikely of places on the internet, picked it up and really, analysed it in a way I kind of like. 4chan, they are quite cynical, and, people provide some pretty cutthroat feedback on stuff, but I think that's kind of what the project needed. So people, sort of discussed it and talked about it there, and then it kind of grew from there to forums and Reddit and stuff like that. So I think it's had a real social media movement with it, and I think that's an important part of it. There's obviously challenges that come with that, and I know that Notch experienced those challenges with Minecraft, so we've just got to try and navigate that as best as we can. But we can't lose that dialogue. If we lose that dialogue, the project will fail.
Well, that's the thing. It almost feels like it can only happen at this particular point in time. One, social media is so prevailing across the world.
Yeah, I think it's tied to the Arab Spring and that, and the political sphere. It's a similar sort of thing with games, I think gamers even don't realise how much sway they have now, and I said in a couple of interviews, and I saw it quoted, I think that gamers need to stop buying crappy games. Like, what they're doing at the moment is they're buying them, then they're complaining about them, but they should not buy them.
They've got them completely the wrong way around.
Yeah. So, and they can now talk about it. So they can talk about it in social media, and they can discuss it. So I think if gamers become more informed consumers, and the same rules apply to DayZ. If we screw it up and we come out with a bad product, then they need to be talking about that and saying, I don't like this game, and then they need to make an informed decision, and that's the only way gamers will change the industry, and I think they can. You look at any industry, when people actually get organised and vote with their wallets, then they bring down massive companies. So
it'll be a case of almost that would be the drive for creativity coming back into the industry, rather than these franchises that are going year on year. We'll see something like a Minecraft, like a DayZ coming back in.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't really look at some of the bigger companies and go, these are evil companies. I think that they're backed into a corner. Game development's very expensive for these AAA titles, so having creativity in them is a big risk, and you try and avoid risk when you've got $80 million on the line. And so I think got a bit of sympathy there. They're kind of backed into this corner, and they can't really break out of it. I'm sure that they'd love to innovate like Minecraft if they could, but it's such a massive risk to take when you're throwing tens of millions of dollars at something.
Yeah, I'd love to keep talking to you, but I'm worried about the risk to your throat. So I just want to say thank you very much, and it's an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Awesome. Thanks for the opportunity. Cheers.